If someone were to ask you to sing that song from Five Nights at Freddy's, what song would you sing? I think for most of you out there, this is what you immediately thought of when I said that. This, hummed in a silly Freddy-esque voice, of course, is the Toreador March, a classical French tune originating from Act 2 of the 1875 opera Carmen by Georges Bizet. If you're like me, then you'd have already heard this tune in other media way before you even knew what a Freddy Fazbear was. After all, I was raised on Baby Einstein as a kid, which was essentially our version of Cocomelon, just with classical music, because apparently that's supposed to make you smart as a baby. This is, of course, why I've grown up to have such a large, intelligent brain as an adult, clearly. For the kids of today, though, I think it's quite likely that Five Nights at Freddy's is what they know this melody from, even more so now that it's a huge meme. And this is all because a music box cover of this song happened to be chosen as the little jingle Freddy plays before he kills you in the first game. The inclusion of these creepy little music box melodies adds so much to the atmosphere of those original games. There's many iconic ones. You have the previously mentioned Toreador March, but there's also ones like FNAF 2's Prize Corner music box. It's an old music box cover of the song Grandfather's Clock. But some of my favorite examples are just a smidge less known, those minigame songs from FNAF 3. Much like those classical tunes from FNAF 1 and 2, the ones featured in 3 have all been identified and attributed to various classical composers, like Charles Gounod's Faites-Lui, mes Aveux in BB's Balloon Adventure. I'm so sorry for that pronunciation. And Tchaikovsky's Flight of the Swans from the musical Swan Lake in the Stage 01 minigame. The Fnaf Wiki has a page for each FNAF game's soundtrack that chronicles every track's name, who they were composed by, and where they came from, if applicable. And this includes all of those classical music box melodies. However, if you go to FNAF 3's page right now, you'll find something kind of unexpected. For 2 of these minigame songs, Mangle's Quest and Chica's Party, you'll find this. The original title for this music is unknown. Wait, what? Yeah, apparently no one actually knows what these 2 specific classical melodies are. We do for all the others, but not these 2. This was a really big surprise to me. I had kind of always assumed that since all of these recordings came from the same stock library, that the original title and composers were already very well known and documented by this point, but apparently not. I was actually working on a completely different video when I stumbled onto this. It was going to be about the history of FNAF's music, which I still may make at some point, but this discovery that 2 of FNAF's music box songs from one of the original games still haven't been fully identified in the year 2024 immediately piqued my attention. My first thought that some of you might also be having was, why haven't I heard about this? The way the FNAF fanbase is, I can't believe this wasn't already a topic of intrigue in the community. After all, there's been similar searches related to other non-lore mysteries, like that one supposed lost variant for the original FNAF trailer that people were looking for. Like, surely there couldn't be something as ripe for speculation as lost Five Nights at Freddy's song origins, just out there in the open, unexplored until now, but I guess there is. So I decided to take this into my own dainty hands and make a video about it to see if I could possibly get it solved, or at least let people know this is a thing, because I'm pretty sure a majority of the FNAF fanbase doesn't even know this has been an unsolved mystery for 9 years, much like myself. Yeah, FNAF 3 is getting close to being a decade old, by the way. That's... wow. So here's everything that we know so far. As I mentioned before, we already know what stock sound library all of these recordings come from. In fact, a majority of the sounds and songs used in the first 4 FNAF games were sourced from a specific place, sounddogs.com, a stock audio library site. Because of this and the many decompilings of these games that have been performed over the years, we have file names attached to each. Let me go ahead and play each of these for you alongside their names. Here's that Mangle's Quest song. which you might also recognize as the prize counter claw music from Help Wanted, by the way. And here's the original uncompressed recording from Sound Dogs, titled 1870 Swiss Music Box with Bells, Parlor Music. And here's the Chica's party song. And the uncompressed version from Sound Dogs, 1805 Swiss Music Snuff Box, Traditional Folk Song. Both of these, as well as a decent chunk of the other Music Box recordings used in these first 3 games, are a part of a specific stock album called the Music Box Collection by Hot Ideas Inc. And as you may have noticed, none of them have the actual song titles as their file name. Toreador March is labeled as 1905 Regina Music Box Classical Overture, and Faites-Lui, Aveux, the one from BB's Balloon Adventure, is 1880 Music Box with Bells, Waltz About, which are, decidedly not their names. Both of those examples, however, are pretty well-known classical compositions, hence why they were able to be identified so quickly. Our 2 recordings in question, though, are clearly a lot more obscure, given the fact that no one has seemed to recognize them yet. Or if anyone has, they just assumed that someone else had documented this before them and didn't think to do it themselves. Although they don't give us the name of the pieces or their composers, these file names aren't at all useless though, as they each list a date, a description of the type of music box that the songs were played on, and a vague genre. For instance, Les Chorégies de Monastery. I'm so sorry. The ending song from Fnaf 2. Specifically lists that it was recorded from a 1905 metal disc music box, a type of music box that uses a record-like disc instead of the traditional cylinder. And after looking this up with the song name, we can see that this music box matches what we hear in the recording. So, theoretically, if we were to use these brief descriptions to find the original music boxes that were used in these 2 recordings, this should lead us to the original song titles. The Mangle's Quest file name says that this was a Swiss music box with bells from around 1870. Music boxes with additional bells built inside them are actually pretty common. In fact, you can find music boxes that contain several other instruments as well, like organs and even drums. This description is certainly accurate because if you listen to the recording, you can clearly hear these bells in action. Listen here for the louder, higher-pitched notes that echo longer, and you can see what I mean. After listening to it several times, I was able to pick out at least 7 different bell notes, so this music box should at least have that many bells, although it could have more. This description also lists this tune as parlor music, a type of music that was popular during the Victorian era, which lines up with our date of 1870, so searching for music of that type could potentially lead somewhere. However, it is also possible that the genres attributed in these titles here are just whatever the music box cover sounded like to the person or persons who compiled them, and doesn't describe genres of the original compositions. We can't really know though, because again, we don't know the original song. What about the Chica's party song though? This one is also listed as Swiss in origin, but from much earlier, around 1805, and lists the music box as specifically a snuff box. No, this doesn't have anything to do with murder, but rather tobacco. So I guess still related, as Dare and those truth commercials would have us believe. Snuff boxes were small decorated containers that were used to hold sniffing tobacco that were popular during the 18th century. Because of their fancy, appealing designs, some were turned into musical snuff boxes that contained music box mechanisms. So in other words, snuff music boxes are the tiny ones with lids, small enough to fit in a pocket or a purse. You can even tell listening to this with how tinny and high-pitched the recording sounds. It just kind of sounds small. This one is listed as a traditional folk song, so it's very likely that this is, in fact, a melody originally from a traditional Swiss folk song, or, once more, could just be an approximation based on how the recording sounds. However, after having listened to many different folk songs from Switzerland, it definitely does sound like one. In particular, I'd be willing to bet that this melody was meant to be yodeled originally, due to how many yodel folk songs sound strikingly similar to this tune in speed and structure. It sounds so much like that style to me. I feel like it has to be yodeling. I can hear it being yodeled so clearly in my head and everything. I would be surprised if it ended up not being yodeling, but that's just my take as someone who doesn't know that much about yodeling. I'm not a yodeler. I've never yodeled. Let's see how many times I can say the word yodel in this video. Unfortunately, though, this is just about all the information we can glean from these titles alone. And from a bit of research, it seems that there are a lot of music boxes and songs that fit these descriptions that can be found on YouTube alone. There's this particular channel I found, Vincent Freeman Antiques, that has a very impressive collection of footage of various antique music boxes, many of them being Swiss and from around the relative era that these two are stated to be from. In fact, there's about 345 videos on this channel alone, and assuming that these are all different music boxes, that's a lot to comb through. I did do some keyword searching on the channel, looking up these years and music box types, and out of all the videos I watched, I couldn't find a match. That was just from my quick searches that I did though, so definitely possible that I could have missed something. That being said, this is just one channel I found. There's definitely a lot more music box content out there to search through, and that's something that's pretty difficult to brute force. If you want to try though, be my guest. Fair warning though, listening to nothing but music box music for long periods of time can start to drive you a little crazy from my experience. Just, don't do this in a secluded shack in the middle of the woods or something. From looking at this Vincent Freeman Antiques channel and their website though, it seems like this person or persons probably know their stuff and has a lot of expertise on the subject of antique music boxes. I mean, you would kind of just have to be with a collection as big as this, so I figured it might be worth a shot to contact them just in case they might know anything. I shot them an email with the two recordings asking if they happened to recognize either tune or if they at least had any other information to offer that could possibly help me in my search to identify their titles and composers. And don't worry, I didn't mention Fnaf at all. However, as of the recording of this video, they have not responded, which is okay. It was worth a shot. However, after this, I thought it may make more sense to attempt contact with Hot Ideas Inc. themselves, the publisher of this stock sound album, and see if they happen to have any info archived. It's probably unlikely that they'd still have information as to what the song titles were of the music boxes they recorded from, but you'd never know. I found their website and damn, they produced a lot of stock albums. We got a patriotic salute to President Barack Obama that has either been featured in the film Oliver Stone's W or Paul Blart Mall Cop. I wonder which one that was. Also, one just called Gamer. I don't like that one. I found their email here and did reach out to them. However, not only did I not get a response, I was notified by Google that my email didn't even go through. This email address is probably completely deactivated, and that kind of makes me wonder if this company is even around anymore, but oh well, I tried. I do want to stress, by the way, please do not attempt to contact either Vincent Freeman Antiques or Hot Ideas Inc. yourselves. I don't want a bunch of people bothering them about this silly Fnaf thing, especially not Vincent Freeman Antiques, as they literally have no actual connection to this. I sent my emails. They can respond to me if they choose. I don't think you need to do the same. Thank you. I just don't want another MatPat ARG scenario to happen. Also, worth mentioning that Scott Cawthon himself probably has no idea what the origins of these are either. He literally just got these from an audio library, so don't bother him about it either. There are just a few more vague potential leads that I want to mention. I was glancing through some of the comments on an upload of the Mangle's Quest song, and there was a couple that kind of caught my eye. First was this. I heard this in Mickey Mouse, the Carnival Kid, 1929, when Mickey was catching the hot dog to spank it. Which, out of context, is a wild-ass comment, but this is a real thing they're talking about. I looked up this specific cartoon, and sure enough, there is some music that plays before Mickey Mouse spanks his hot dog. However, although it's kinda similar, I'm confident that this isn't the song. If anything, it sounds more like that bicycle song from Pokemon. But this did make me realize there are a lot of old cartoons that use classical music, even the super obscure ones. So it's very possible that there's some old cartoon out there that just happens to use either one of these tunes. Not the music box versions, of course, but the originals. There were also several comments saying that this Mangle's Quest tune in particular reminded them a lot of an ice cream truck jingle. And I have to agree, this music box cover in particular sounds just like something you'd hear coming out of an ice cream truck. Maybe not the Chica's party one, though. That one feels just a little too hectic to me. So maybe that route could be worth searching as well. Maybe there's some archives of traditional ice cream truck music out there or something. Both of these possibilities are really vague and probably unhelpful, though, honestly. I just wanted to mention them in the off chance that someone out there happened to have heard these songs from either one of these places and it jogs their memory hearing it. So, all that being said, how do we find these songs? Well, as I said before, I think the best way would simply be to track down which music boxes they were recorded from. In my small amount of searching, I probably didn't even scratch the surface in terms of what's out there even just on YouTube. There's a lot to go through, so I think making more attempts in that front could result in something. Another approach might be to simply look for the original songs themselves by combing through Swiss parlor music and traditional folk songs. Once again, there's a lot available on YouTube alone. I found several playlists, some in the triple digits in video count, compiling many of each genre, so if someone out there wanted to take the time to go through all these, it could very much be there. Both of these methods are pretty laborious and tedious though, so if either of these songs are found because of this video, it'll probably be that someone heard it and just happened to know. That seems to be how a lot of these types of lost song mysteries end, so getting the simple fact out there that we're looking for these songs may just be all that we need. Hell, if any of you out there have Swiss friends, have them take a listen too, see if they recognize it. Who knows? That's unfortunately all we have right now. If any of you watching have any information to provide, definitely let me know. I do want to stress again though, don't contact anyone I already mentioned in this video, and if you happen to come across any similar leads, please behave. I really don't want random people out there getting their inboxes flooded with messages asking about dumb FNAF shit. Please be normal for me, is all I ask. If this gets solved or if there's any other major developments, I'll definitely follow this up, so be on the lookout just in case. This is definitely a different type of upload than I normally make. It was just one of those things I came across, saw no one else had talked about it, and felt compelled to make a short video on. So if you liked it, be sure to let me know. Also, I'm like painfully close to 200k subscribers. I've been like right under it for over a year now. Just help me put the 100Ks out of their misery already, just please. Anyway, I'm gonna go listen to music that has literally any other instruments in it. I am sick of music box music right now. And I'd like to thank my skrunklies over on Patreon. Thank you for supporting me. Prism, April B, Creative JK, Adelaide Parade, Soy Sauce Flavored Tide Pod, Chico Mode, Pua Liver, Fred Shrooms, Blargan Snorf, Rubbish Bunny, Siderian, Awesome Ace Z, Xeno Dude Face, Lilith Swartzlander, Zayseer, Dominic, Fedco, Sledmasters, Wilford MF Worf, Certainly Cecilia, The Papini Bros Emporium, Rainbow Wave, Cat Does a Thing, Tawoji, Jurgen the Bull, Juliet with a Handgun, Skillemalink, Kong Men, Battle Axolotl, Jupe Tube, Fiku M Beans, Mallow, Bubblegum Bitch, Mary Fairy Quite Contrary, and Armadio. If you'd like to join these wonderful folks, you can check out my Patreon in the link in the description. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and peace out.